1, 2, 3, 1. Little girl, little girl, what have I done that's made you treat me so? You've caused me to weep, you've caused me to mourn, you've caused me to leave my home. In the pines where the sun it never shines, and you shiver when the cold wind blows. Oh, the longest train I ever saw went down that Georgia line. The engine passed at 6 o'clock, and the cab went by at 9. In the pines where the sun it never shines, and you shiver when the cold wind blows. The longest train I ever saw was 19 coaches long. The only girl that I ever loved is on that train and gone. In the pines where the sun it never shines, and you shiver when the cold wind blows.
All right, hey, everyone out there in Banjo Land, Mike Hedding here, coming to you today with another detailed backup lesson. This time we're going to tackle the old classic song, In the Pines, in the key of F. I've got my capo on the 3rd fret. We're going to be thinking in the key of D, and we're going to use a bunch of classic, kind of what I think of as Jimmy Martin style bluesy banjo licks, and we're going to work through how to play through the verse and the chorus 3 different ways. So you're going to get a bunch of practice moving all over the neck, and a bunch of bluesy kind of D licks you can use in 3/4. A lot of these licks you can apply to a lot of other songs as well. And if you're watching the preview of this lesson, you can head over to my website, MikeHeddingMusic.com, and grab the full lesson. You'll get access to watch all the videos, and you can download the tabs and the practice tracks. All right, here's In the Pines in the key of F. All right, let's start breaking down this backup lesson for the classic old bluegrass song, In the Pines. So Clint was singing this song in the key of F, and we could have done it open F without a capo, but I found it was a little bit easier to put the capo on 3, and then we're going to be playing out of D position. So again, we're going to be thinking in the key of D, but we've got our capo on 3, and we're really in the key of F. The banjo is still just in the standard G tuning. I've got the 5th string spiked up to a B flat. So let's start breaking down this lesson, and I'll play the first 8 measures, and then we'll start breaking it down. Here we go. All right, so here's the first 8 measures. This is like the first half of the verse. Let me play it, and then we'll break it down. Do that again real slow. Okay, so remember we're in 3/4 time, so we have just 3 beats per measure, and for this lesson we're going to kind of avoid the 3rd tone of the scale. So the 3rd, you might have heard of like a major 3rd and a minor 3rd, but the 3rd basically determines whether it's a happy or if it's a minor, right? So you got D major or D minor by flattening the 3rd. But a common kind of bluegrass technique is just kind of avoiding the 3rd altogether. So when Clint's playing the rhythm, he's going to be playing a regular D, but for my backup and for kind of my little fills, I'm not going to be playing this 3-finger D chord, which makes it really happy. I'm going to be kind of just avoiding that tone And then again, it kind of gives it this cool, sometimes they call it the mountain sound or modal sound, where you have major chords, but then the lead or backup instrument is kind of playing minor sounding notes. So it gives this really cool kind of tension that I really like. And that's what we're going to use for this song. So my basic D position I'm going to use is just a 2-finger D chord, and I'm going to do it with my second and third finger, so then I can use my D7 as well. So that's all we're going to do. So for measure 1, again, there's no pickup because we're just playing the backup. I'm going to do a really common roll I like to do in 3/4 is where I hit the open 4 string, and then I hit my middle finger, and then roll forward. So you have 1, 2, and 3, and remember we're only counting to 3. So you have. So it's just a great kind of generic backup lick in 3/4. And the other thing I'd recommend for this song is adding a little bit of swing. So Clint was playing this with kind of a swing feel, so I just tried to copy what he was doing on the backup. So instead of playing them all straight, now we're going. So it's kind of that long, short, short, long, short, short. I always think of a drummer playing on the ride cymbal, you know. That's kind of how I guess that kind of sounded more like a hi-hat, but you get the idea. But that's kind of what I get that rhythm in my head as I think of that, a drummer playing on a cymbal. So that's what we're doing there. And then we're going to go into our D7, so put your first finger down, and I'm going to do an open 2 hammer-on while doing a forward roll. And then do that same roll again on the D7. So not too hard, just giving you kind of some bluesy D backup in 3/4, so you have. Don't do that hammer on too quick, so you have. And then we're going to slide with your third finger into a G, and then go backwards down to the 3rd fret. So again, we're modifying our rolls to make them in 3/4, so we have. So it's kind of just like a common Scruggs roll. You roll forward, and then go back to the open 3rd string, down to the 3rd fret. And then back to open D with a forward roll. And I'm just going to use you can go back to this full position, or you can go back to just your first or your second finger down. So you have. So we're just sliding into that G, making it a little bluesy by adding the F note. And then measure 5, that kind of backwards roll idea, except we're going to move our 3rd finger down to the 3rd fret of the 4th string. Again, kind of making like kind of highlighting like a D minor, but again, the chords behind it are major, so we're playing with that tension. So we do kind of a backwards Scruggs roll. And I also really like using that open D string, obviously, as a kind of a low note. So again, that's like my bass note. And then right here, we're going to slide from 3 to 7 relative to your capo. So that's like up to the 5 chord, which in D is normally like an A, but we're really playing a C. And we'll talk about that. So you slide up there, and then you're going to do that like backwards forward thing we did in measure 1. So you hit your middle finger, and then you go forward. So you have. And you use that slide to get you up there. And then hit the open 4 string, which gives you time to come back down. And we're going to do a little fill lick. You're going to do a triplet on your D7, and then hit your thumb on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, index finger, 3rd fret, 4th string, open. You can just practice that on its own. So it's 1 triplet 3 and is how you count it. And if you're having trouble with that, you could also just play like 8th notes and skip the open 1st string and go. That'd be like another variation. But adding that little triplet sounds nice. So again, we slide up. So that'd be like halfway through the verse part. Really good practice is sliding up. I like using little slides too. And then we're back to our fill lick. So that's measure 8. So that's just the same lick as measure 1. And then measure 9 is the same as measure 4. So this is back into the verse again. So that forward roll idea again. And then we're going to do the hammer on the D7 again, except we're going to do it twice this time, just for a variation. slide on your G. So do a 3/5 slide with your third finger, thumb, index, and then pinch the outside strings. So we can do that because it's a little bit slower tempo. So we have, but you could also go back up and play measure 3 if you wanted, but I just wanted to give you a variation. So you have, and then back down and do thumb middle, excuse me. So let's play that part. So we have, that's from measure 8 to the measure 11. And then back to your D, I do a forward reverse roll. So kind of modified for 3/4. The other thing I like to do is, instead of using the 5th string, which doesn't work quite as well in D, is use the open 4 string. So we go forward, and then normally like a forward reverse roll would use the 5th string, but since we're in D, we're going to use the 4th string, and then come backwards, middle, index. So you have, so 1 and 2 and 3 and then that forward roll idea again. And then we're going to go into like a little A chord. So how I do it is I'm going to use 3 fingers just to kind of cheat. You could also use your bar chord, but I would recommend doing it this way because your second finger's already down. So you do that forward roll, then hit the 2nd fret, 3rd string, put your 3rd finger up on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So we're leaving off the 2nd string, 2nd fret, which would normally be an A, but that's like the happy note of the A chord, right? So again, we're leaving that note off and playing the 2nd fret, 3rd string, and then middle finger, and then roll forward. So that same rhythm we've been doing 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and we're just doing it over an A chord without the 3rd. So you have, and then open 4 string back to our D, and then a little lick. Let me play it and then I'll break it down. Okay, so we hit the open 4 string, go into your D7 and do like a backwards roll. Open 3rd string, excuse me, with your index finger. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and then a little lick on the 4th string, 3, open 3, and then roll forward. So I'm doing thumb, index, middle, index for measure 16. And then open 4 string starts measure 17. It gets us into the chorus. That's just like a little fill lick at the end of the verse. So we have, and if the song was a lot faster, probably that thumb index wouldn't work quite as good, but since it's like a slower tempo, I like using that thumb index back and forth. It kind of like mimics a guitar. So that's one time through the verse backup. Let's listen to me and Clint play that whole verse backup.
1, 2, 3, 1. Little girl, little